genealogy on the computer. You look at your genealogy in the morning and you see that you've got a new person signed up while you were sleeping. You are excited, okay? And that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. For example, you know, when I wake up in the morning, not counting weekends, I'm averaging between 600 and 700 new people a day signing up in my business. Well, see, it didn't start with that. It started with one. That's where you get started. Now, this industry, well, again, back to the motivation. One more thing that you need to know. As you are duplicating and you're going down with your people, progressively, everybody that comes into that downline gets one more person working for them. Pretty hard to fail when you got 2, 3, 4 people working for you. See, the industry is the biggest industry in the world where the blind are leading the blind. Okay, people who don't have a clue how this industry really works are trying to teach you how to do it. And you can spot them just right away, because usually when they do a training session, they'll tell you, first thing you need to do is make a list of 100 names, okay? Wrong. Why do you need a list of 100 names? That's what sales managers do to salespeople. Why do you need a list of 100 names to sponsor one person? It starts with one. And when you sponsor that first person, it's more important for you to help that person sponsor someone than it is for you to sponsor one yourself. And you start duplicating with that one person. And in the process of doing that, you will naturally come across another person that you can sponsor, especially with the Own Your Life approach, because everybody wants to own their life. And we've got a way they can do it. So that's what happens when you're duplicating with the motivation. And then you have another thing called FOMO when you're duplicating. And that stands for fear of missing out. Because all these companies, you have to make a purchase of a product each month, to get paid. And if you got people in your downline that are ordering and you don't order yourself, you're going to miss out. So anyway, what I'd like to do is open it up right now for any questions or testimonies.
Maybe we can do a photo. How about this?
Sounds like a good idea. Adriana, why don't you explain to them why we do the photo and how they can post it? Because you're good at doing posts and stuff.
Wow, in English. Okay. We will make a photo because you can post this photo on your Facebook and invite people that maybe forget about you, maybe forget about MLM, and attract them here to Don's teachings, Zooms. And you really have a chance to talk with them about MLM once again when they will see that you are meeting with Don every week. So invite your friends here. We are completely neutral here and without any presentation of any company. So this is the very good opportunity to teach your people the correct way of doing this MLM. So turn on your cams. I will make a photo. You can also do this. Also, you can post that and share it with Don on your profiles, and and invite people to that place to teach them. Yes. So I wait a few seconds for you to make your hair beautiful.
Adriana, hold on. I want to make one more point.
Yeah, okay.
When you put these posts out, and if you need any help with it, Adriana can help you write a good post. But when you put these things out and you reach out, like you might have 1,000 to 4,000 people on your Facebook, and a lot of those people were with you in your networking years ago. What you do is when you make contact with them, it's called the apologetic approach. Just tell them you're calling them to apologize, because they wonder, well, why are you apologizing? Well, because when I talked to you years ago, I didn't know what I was doing. Because see, if I knew what I was doing, by now you'd be retired and you'd own your life, have time, money, and health. And I had the opportunity of listening to the person who wrote the best-selling book in the world, and I learned that we were doing the business wrong. Now I know the right way to do it, and I'd like to show you exactly what we're doing so you can see the difference. And you don't have to show them; just invite them to be on a Zoom call. So that's why you need to get your pictures up here if you want to take advantage of that. If you don't, you're just missing the ball.
Okay. Yeah, this is the very, very good point here. And okay, so I'm doing this. Prepare, be ready, smile or cheese, okay? Wait. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thanks, great. I have it, got it. Okay, you can continue, Don, with your question and answers or your testimonies. Maybe you have some kind of testimonies here to share with us. It will be very nice.
Don't be bashful. If you got a question, just go ahead. Jim, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I do. Just been working
Jim
with.
is not the brother of Don Failla.
There you go. Just, I will say, in working with this system, when you're leading with, this is just my own experience I've discovered, when you're leading with own your life instead of leading with, aren't you sick? Don't you feel bad? Shouldn't you lose some weight? In other words, leading with the product. Like you're saying, Don, if you lead with the product, you got to be able to open the hood and pull the whole engine out, take it all apart, put it all back together. In other words, you have to know everything there is to know, because as soon as you say you need this product, because you led with that people expect you to know every ingredient. And so I found, by leading with the question, have you ever given thought to what it would be like to own your life? And they're like, well, what does that mean? Well, then you can start them on the tools process. Let the tools do it. So we've been doing that. And then when it comes time to them to say, well, how does this work? And now it's time to talk about the vehicle, your company. Suddenly it's like, cool, I just need to look and see what they have, not do you know what's in everything. Suddenly that doesn't matter. It's just, all that matters is now I see a path to owning my life. Much different experience. And we've been at this for not as long as you have, but close. So,
okay, thank you.
Lead with this, use the system.
Jim, thank you very much. I'd like to add something here. When you go to the vehicle, you have a conversation with that person about overhead. Now, understand, we're not looking for people that are into health, because that's only 8%. So the people we're talking to has never been in a health food store, never taken a health product in their life, okay? So people know what overhead is. Like traditional business, you've got brick and mortar building a building, you've got inventory, employees, payroll, that's overhead. Well, the overhead in network marketing, you've got to make a purchase of a product to get paid, okay? So when I get ready, to sign someone up, I suggest one product to cover their overhead. Now understand, they're not buying the product because they want the product. They're buying the product because they want to own their life. Well, since they bought it, they might as well take it and use it. In 6 to 10 days, if they've never taken health products before, they're coming to me and saying, Don, well, I don't know what's in that product, but gee, I've never felt so good. They're totally excited about the product. Okay, now most companies have an auto ship, so you get the product the same time every month. But let's say they didn't sign up for the auto ship, and maybe 6 to 10 days after they ran out of the product, the experience they have when they run out is greater than when they went on the product. See, that's why I've got people that signed up with me 25 years ago who are not building a business. Okay, we didn't have the technology, we didn't have what we have now way back then, but they wouldn't miss out on ordering the product every month. Now, once they've had that experience with the product, most companies will have a catalog that go out with their products, or you have everything on the internet. Now, because they're excited about the product, now they'll start looking at the catalog or your internet on the products. And they'll say, oh gosh, they'll see something, oh, I got to try this, I got to try that, I got to try this. I want you to note that they are selling themselves the product. You never have to sell anybody anything. They will sell themselves. And you'll be amazed how that person that started out buying one product is now buying lots of products, okay? Any other questions? Got a bunch of bashful people.
Nadia, please.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for letting me ask my question. And Don, thank you very much for the session. This is really useful. I really appreciate it. Just wanted to clarify. So you had said that after the first 5 people that you help them to duplicate, you build one leg after another. But what about the first 5? Would you also approach it that you find one person that you help to duplicate, or do you first find your first 5 first line, so to speak? What is your approach with that? And then the other question that I have is, where would I find the app? Thank you.
Okay, well, you keep working with the first 5. You're going to be there. That's the rest of your life, because that's all you have to do is help them with their people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you read the book, you'll read about, your people come in are either gold ships, silver ships, or empty ships. People have a tendency to want to work with the empty ships. And now let me tell you, they're going down. They're going to take you with them. Don't waste your time with them. Spend most of your time with the 5 gold ships, okay? Now, like I say, because of time now, once you have your 5, methodically expand one more until you have 10. And then just keep working down line with those people. And that way you're not always out looking for people. Now, how do you get the app? First of all, I want to give you the history of the app. We have a company that had only 6 employees that did our first app, and they could not keep up with us. So we have found another company that has 370 employees, and they're in 20 different countries. The first company would have taken us years to get the app up in different languages. The new company, once we have the English done, which will be by the end, hopefully by the end of this month, that's the base. We can start adding new languages every month. Now, you can use the old app, okay? And you can go ahead and write down the link to be able to sign up for it. It's just go to Failla, my last name, Failla, legacy.com, legacy.com. Okay, go to it, but now listen very carefully. Do not pay annually, because when you go through the app and you see my partner do the demonstration, there'll be a list of all the things you get with the app, and at the very bottom gives you a choice of paying monthly for $15, or annually you get 2 free months, which of course averages your cost down to 10 a month. Don't do that, okay? Because let me tell you, when the new app comes out, it's going to be $20, okay? And I tell people, look, if that's part of your overhead, it's a business expense. Where can you spend $20 a month and make millions? So anyway, that's not a problem, but you're going to want the new app. These are 2 separate companies. So cancel the first one and buy the second one, okay?
And then that would be available in the App Store or also via a website.
Yeah, you go to Google, you can find it. You'll find it. And
Okay,
you
great.
know, yeah, but see, understand that if you do pay for the annual, and when the new app comes out, you want the new app, you get the new app, but you're not going to be able to cancel the annual because you've already paid for it.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you very much.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I got it. Thanks.
Yeah, that'll work. We are so anxious to get this out. Of course, Polish is top of the list because we've been doing seminars now. I've been doing Zoom training calls. Adriana has too, for months now. And we've got literally tens of thousands of people that want the app. I mean, we have a market of 140 million people in the world in network marketing. 90% of them they think they're in sales, so it's crazy. I mean, we're going to save the industry. They get on with duplicating, and these companies don't have to be losing their people all the time. Question, we got a lot of bashful people on this call today. So anyway, I'll tell you something else while you're thinking about a question. People ask me my number one recommendation when I sponsor a new person. I tell them to get a job, okay? Now, they don't have to like the job because they have a light at the end of the tunnel. They have a way out. All the people out there that don't have what we have don't have a way out. Now, the reason they need to get a job is because there isn't a network marketing company in the world that I've seen where you can start off in your first month and make a living, pay your mortgage, car payment, credit cards, put food on the table. Can't be done. Okay, so you need something, because see, you can start, the only way you make money in the beginning, if you want to, is you got to go sell your products. So you can make a few $100s a month, say you do that, that's fine, but understand that when you sell somebody something, you are doing nothing to contribute to the foundation of putting up your building. You got to get the foundation going, and that's duplicating, going deep. So you have to be a little patient. So there's two exceptions to what I just said. If your spouse can support the family, then you're fine. Nancy supported our family for 7 years. Now remember, back 7 years ago, we didn't have what we have now. We didn't have technology app. We didn't even have the book back then, and so forth. So it took time. So she supported the family for 7 years. The other exception would be if you have enough money in the bank to live comfortably on for a couple of years while you're doing the foundation, okay? Don't pay attention to these people out there telling people are going to get rich in 3 to 6 months. It doesn't happen, okay? It does take a little bit of time. And if you're honest with people up front, then, fine, they're going to stay with you. But if you make them think they're going to be making a lot of money right away, and it doesn't happen, they're gone. Questions? You guys are going to force me to have an early lunch today.
Why don't you are doing these Zooms for free? Let us know.
Oh yeah, okay, we got enough time to go with that. This will be kind of fun. Okay, first of all, the only reason that you are here today, and I'm here today doing this for you, is because my wife died, okay? She died a year ago, December. And I had never, ever done anything on Facebook, ever. Now, I was maxed out with 5,000 friends because we had done seminars all over the world, as many as 10,000 people at a seminar, a lot at 6,000, a lot of people out there. In fact, after we did the seminar in Hanoi with 4,500 people, I had 3,500 friends on Facebook from Hanoi. So between the book and the seminars, over the years, I've had people want to be my friend, and I just accepted everybody. That's all I ever did. Never wrote to anybody, never communicated with it, and didn't do anything. So about 2-3 months after she passed away, one evening I was looking at the computer and I started looking around on Facebook, which is the first time I'd ever done that. And I noticed that when I put my cursor on people, I'd see more people and then more people and more people and so forth. So anyway, I came across this woman that was so beautiful. I could tell she was Asian, but I didn't know if she was like Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, what. So I noticed then there was a little white arrow to the right, and I started clicking on that. And every time I did, well, no, first thing I did was I clicked on her face and she went big screen on me. That surprised me. Then I started clicking on the arrow and I got more pictures. Well, after I looked at about 30 pictures, I started noticing down at the bottom, it said message. Well, I had never in my life sent anybody a message. So this is my first message. I said, I love your photos. Within 5 minutes, I got a message back from her saying, I love your book. Well, so anyway, this gal, she had grown up in Vietnam for 10 years, Europe for 10 years, managing a salon in Seattle for 10 years. And there's about 1.5 million Vietnamese in America, and most of the women work in salons doing nails, pedicure stuff. So anyway, she had been, we got chatting and so forth. And It turned out she had gotten into network marketing, was in it for 2 years, ended up hating it. Her sponsor quit, and that guy's sponsor quit. Time she got to somebody that was actually doing the business, okay? This guy, all he could talk about in training was recruit, 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 sell, sell, sell. She hated it, like most people do, because people don't want to sell. So anyway, I explained to her, what we are doing now with the app, in the Zoom trainings and so forth. And that had nothing to do with selling and so forth. Within 3 days, she got my app and she signed up in the company we're with. She is totally excited about network marketing now. Well, 3 days later, same thing happened with a woman from Germany. Well, it turned out when I got chatting with her, she was already in my downline. Okay. So that got me thinking about Facebook, because I saw if there were, I had 1,842 people that wanted to be my friend, but I was maxed out at 5,000. So someone said, well, why don't you unfriend some people so you can make room for these people? Some have been up there for probably years. So I started doing that. And then what would happen, as you know, that when someone, wants you to accept them, you get a ping on your mobile device, and I was getting these pings. Now, because the time difference of 9 hours, I was spending a lot of time in the afternoon unfriending people. And then I'd go to bed at midnight. Between midnight and 2 in the morning, I'm trying to go to sleep and my phone's going ping, ping, ping. I mean, just totally amazing. I started chatting with people between 12 and 2 o'clock in the morning, my time. And people are so eager to want to learn that when I got up in the morning by 9 o'clock, we'd already scheduled a Zoom training for that same day. So anyway, we started doing these Zoom trainings. And somewhere along the way, someone said, can we take your picture? And I said, yes. Then they said, can we post it on Facebook? I said, yes, just so you don't mention any company or product and so forth. So then that really kind of exploded it when they started doing that. And I started getting more and more people that wanted to be my friend. And in fact, I remember this one person that had a Zoom training. And when the follow-up on that, I saw where she had like 64 likes that liked her little post that she put up. And I noticed when I put my cursor on the 64, I got 64 pictures, names, and so forth. And one thing said friend. So I just friended 64 more people. So right now, I probably average 5 to 10 new friends a day that are coming into Facebook that all want to be friends. And the thing that really made a huge difference is if you don't know how to write a post for people to respond, check with Adriana. She is unbelievable. And she came across something that really exploded it. She put a post out there saying, if you'd like to have a training call with Don Failla, the legend, and all they always say all this stuff, contact me and I'll help set it up for you. Well, you have no idea how many people are afraid to call me. I don't know why. That's why with these Zoom trainings and so forth, we get to know people and so forth. And then I get to contact people individually and so forth and talk to them. So that's what happened. And that's why you're all here today.
I can add only that you are also incredible, Don, because every day you are still contacting with new people. You are doing MLM every day, as you are teaching since years. You are consistent and all the time an example of a perfect man in MLM. Really, I'm impressed so highly because you are maybe not so young, and at that time you are really know how to manage all that stuff on Facebook, on Zooms. And you're so bright in it. I'm really impressed, really.
Janquia. Well, first of all, I go to bed at 12. I go to bed at 11 o'clock and I go to sleep at 12 because I like to watch the news, see what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, because I have thousands of friends in both Russia and Ukraine. And I wake up at 5:30 and usually get up at 6 in the morning. I never take a nap, but I will doze when I'm watching TV after dinner sometimes. But people, if they don't know about my family and so forth, like when I'm in Japan or anywhere around the world where they don't really know my background or anything, they'll guess my age at 62, 63. Well, I was 83 last December. People can't believe it because I got a lot of energy. I don't sound like an 83-year-old. So anyway, and I tell people there's 3 reasons why I'm not aging very fast is because number one, I own my life. Okay. I have time, I have money, and I have health. I can remember when we started doing training seminars, Nancy in her training used to talk about how we used to have a pile of bills called the Better Luck Next Month pile. Okay. That's stress, folks. Virtually everybody has that. And if you don't, I mean, stress will age you. I mean, I'm taking good health products. I exercise every day, but the key is no stress. And if you don't think stress will age you, look at the American presidents after 6 months in office, and you'll see how fast you can age by stress. So we don't, everything's paid for. If you want to look up at Villa.com, that's my private resort, which is 7 minutes from where I live. And I have 2 homes that are about 6,000 square feet. Everything's paid for, no mortgage. So when bills come in, like electric bills and standard things like that, they're all paid, okay? Zero stress, okay? So that's the key. And I'll tell you the key to raising children too. Very simple, one word, time. You spend time with your kids, you'll never have a problem, ever. Where you got the problem is when you don't spend time, they get hailing with their buddies and trying everything. I don't know if you heard this on your news, but we have 100,000 people a year die in America from fentanyl. And that it's made in China and it's delivered to Mexico, and the cartels down there make it look into like painkiller pills or whatever. And it's mostly the young people. So we're having like 300 people a day dying from that. We got a stupid president that won't close the border. He already let 2 million people across the border last month. But Texas has done some really, I think this is really funny. They're starting to just do their own protection. They're not going to rely on the government. And so what Biden's doing is that these people come across the border and they put them on planes and buses, and they're busing them all over the country. They don't check them for anything. Stupid. So the governor of Texas yesterday said they hired a fleet of buses, and they're going to start busing all these people coming into Washington, D.C. to the Capitol. And then another one's going to bus them to Delaware, where Biden lives, and let them deal with them. And maybe the guy will get it. I mean, if you can imagine the border for the last year, Putin and Kamala Harris, the vice president who's in charge of it, they haven't even been to the border one time. They want those people coming across because they think they're all going to vote Democrat. It's destroying our country. It's absolutely amazing. So anyway, that's another story.
You have a question, Don.
Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead.
Yeah. What is the greatest challenge you face in your network marketing? What's the greatest challenge you face in your network marketing career? Greatest challenge.
Well, the only thing is this: the only challenge is that you got to show people that it's not selling. They already think it is. See, the industry over the years has had a bad name because most people never make it because they never duplicate. And they've been said, most everybody knows somebody that's been in network marketing that hasn't made it. But if they can understand how to explain to them why they didn't make it because they didn't duplicate, and we're trying to recruit people who don't want to sell, then you can get to some of these people coming back. But that once you handle that, you've got, there's no reason for them to not get started building a business because it's limited part-time. They do it along with their job. Like we teach them, they have to get a job anyway. If they already have a job, they add a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there, and you know, they let the Zoom trainings do the calling. And like Adriana said, you know, all these recordings are Zoom trainings are recorded. What I didn't tell you is that the new upgraded app, we're going to have a couple Zoom trainings for each language. Like, you know, like for example, we'll have a couple of Zoom trainings in Polish, a couple in German, a couple in whatever. We'll take the best ones, so that way you can, if you like to have them go to Zoom training and, you know, the time it doesn't work for them, you know, they have to wait till next week to get to it or whatever, you'll be able to just get it from your app and just send the link to them and let them look at it. That's the challenge, is they got to understand that it's not selling. That's number one. Thanks, Jordan.
Right.
Got to tell you, Jordan started using my book years ago, thinks I'm his mentor. And just like last week, we got friended on Facebook, and that's why he's here today. And a lot of these people on the call are from Suriname. Another thing about duplication, like Adriana said, it's been almost a year now since we met, and I've got over 2,000 friends just from one person who's met her friends and their friends and their friends and so forth. That's what we say. You can program your mind for success when you go to bed at night. Just put a head on the pillow and say, I'm going to make a friend, if you don't have any, of course. I'm going to meet their friends. I'm going to make a friend. I'm going to meet their friends. You do that till you go to sleep, your mind is totally programmed for what you need to be doing to be successful. So anyway,
if you have any question, Gordon, just ask.
What I'm going to just close with saying that, since we don't have any questions here, that if you come back and listen to this again, you'll be amazed how much more it's going to sink in. Okay. Anyway, the more you listen to it, and every week, what I say is won't vary a 0.5% in the training part to start with. And when it's translated, it takes about 40 minutes instead of, you know, 30.
I have question. How did you learn the presentation?
I just did it. I just started doing it. It just evolved.
Yeah, but if you are all the time speaking the same, and how did you do this? Because I just learned it during 1 year, and you are right now all the time the same speaking, and you're so perfect in repeating this.
Let me tell you how I learned this. Okay.
Okay.
Many years ago, we used to have what we called unconventions. See, people go to conventions and they're in a beautiful resort, you know, and so forth. They never get to enjoy the facilities because they're in meetings all day. Well, I said, we're going to have unconventions. We're not going to have any meetings. We had them in the Tropicana in Las Vegas for 7 years in a row. And we were getting about 200 people that would come, and we'd all hang out at the pool all day, and people would go to lunch with different people or dinner with different people. And we would go to the show at the Tropicana together, the group, not everybody, but most of them. So I noticed that in the intermission of the entertainment, they had this comedian group came up, and after the third year, I told Nancy, I said, you know, they do the same thing every time. But you know what I noticed? It kept getting better. They did the same thing, but it got better. So that's what I do. You know, every time I do the training that you just heard, if there's anything in there, you know, I just try to do it better. Now, I never used to like being translated, okay? But now I do. I really like it because, see, when you're not being translated like today, okay, you don't have no idea how hard that is on me now without being translated, because I'm used to taking a sip of water while she's translating, okay? When I'm not being translated, I don't do it, you know? So by the time goes by, I'm starting to get pretty dried out. But see, the thing that people don't understand is that when you're talking to someone, you are not thinking about what you're saying. You're thinking, first of all, you know, like what you said last, what you're saying now, what you're going to say next. But like when you have a large group, for example, you get people are applauding or, clapping or whatever, laughing or what have you. So you get these, what we call minor mini mental breaks. And during those breaks, you can think about where you've been, where you're at, where you're going. So if you're only talking, like if I'm talking to 2,000 people, gosh, you get all kinds of breaks, lots of time to think, and especially being translated. After I say every couple sentences, I get a chance to think. But when you're only talking to 10 or 15 people, you never get those breaks. And after you talk for an hour without a break, all of a sudden your mind can go south. I mean, I can remember a time in Montreux, Switzerland with 2,000 people. I was kind of studying German at the time, and I started kind of listening to the translator. Well, anyway, it was time for me to say my next sentence. I forgot where I was. Nancy was sitting in the front row, and I asked her, what was I saying? Well, she'd heard it so many times, she wasn't paying attention. So I didn't have a clue. So you got, got all these people, 2,000 people, eyeballs looking at you, and you don't know what you're going to say next. So I just had everybody stand up for 5 minutes and took a little break, and I finally figured it out. But let me tell you, when that happens, it doesn't happen more than once, because your mind is at a total different level. So I love Adriana's translating, okay? Because she's at the point now where she's able to do parts of my training. Like when I talk about what you get from the company, how you'll be able to retire in 3 to 5 years. When we do this on Wednesday and Friday, she does that without translation in the Polish. So yeah, translating, she's doing fantastic.
Thank you.
I wouldn't trade her. I wouldn't trade Adriana against any one of the 35 translators had in the world. I mean, the worst translation in the world is Indonesia. Look at my hands here. I talk this long, the translation is this long. Try that being on stage. Man, that is really tough. Good question.
Was there any moment in your whole life when you were doing MLM backwards that was the best moment in doing that? That means maybe you remember something special what happened that changed your maybe way of doing this or something like that. Was there such a moment in your life?
I've been in the industry 50 years, and, like I said, the industry's evolved, okay? Just like I tell people, make a friend, meet their friends. Well, that's how I got into the business, because we owned an international house of pancakes for 4 years, and we had 35 teenage employees. I was open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I had 3 full days off in 4 years. So I know what it means not to own any of your life. But during the time at that restaurant, there was a customer, became a very regular customer that we actually became good friends. And he's the one that invited me to an opportunity meeting in a hotel. That's how I got started. But the whole thing has just evolved. Jeff Rimaldi, who you'll see when you see the demonstration of how you send out the app, he says that I'm the most observant person he's ever met. Like, for example, we were staying at the Marriott Hotel at the Newark Airport for 1 month. And during that month, every Thursday, there was an opportunity meeting at that hotel. We would go down and we would watch them bring in the boxes of their products and stuff and set up their demonstration. And they'd have a few people come to their meeting, but then after the meeting, there was a ton of people that met in the restaurant, okay? So it became quite obvious that, better just to do the meeting in the restaurant. That's kind of evolved with the sizzle sessions, doing it there. So over the years, everything has just evolved. And whatever I do, like this presentation, if there's anything in there I'm missing out on, I mean, you've done it enough to know when I've passed up on something I should have said, that I end up going back and picking it up. So it's kind of interesting.
Do you think that there is in the world somebody like you?
I don't know. I hope not.
I have a question for you, Don. Are any of your kids actively involved in the industry?
No, I tell you what, my kids are so involved in their life that, you know, I'm helping build a business under them, for them. But I'll give you an example about owning your life. Both my boys are professional tennis instructors, okay? And they both, because when they were young and I owned my life, I had the time, money, and health 5 days a week to drive them one way to get their tennis lessons, okay? They both got college scholarships. Okay, Greg now is married to a tennis pro also, and an instructor. And their daughter, my granddaughter, you can look her up, Jessica Failla, on Google. She's now a tennis pro, okay? Well, she became a tennis pro because Greg owned his life and he had the time, money to be able to start teaching her tennis when she was 5 years old. Okay, so she got a tennis scholarship, went to USC for 2 years, with $62,000 a year. Then she got released from there for a reason I don't need to get into right now. But she went to Pepperdine, which is probably the most beautiful campus in America, overlooking the Pacific Ocean. She got 2 more years at $72,000 a year. She was injured her junior, couldn't play, so she got another year of eligibility. So she got a master's degree in the law school. And that was $92,000. That was done online on the internet and so forth, so she could keep going with her tennis while she's taking the course. COVID hit. They canceled the whole season. So she got another year, another $92,000, almost $500,000 in scholarships. Why? Because I own my life. And she was able to do this. Now, she started off this last year about 800 in the world, and she's now up to about 420. She'll be in the top 100 in the world like in 2 years. Okay. So again, you know, if we didn't own our life, none of that would have happened. Okay. Now, Joel, he's the youngest one. He just turned 17 and he got his pilot's license, you know, at 17. Okay. You get a pilot's license in America before you get a driver's license. And that again, like for him to take lessons and the time to rent a plane, to do all this stuff, costs $120 an hour. And when you start off, you paying an instructor $75 an hour. So we end up buying him a plane. So now, you know, he can go out and fly as much as he wants all day for like about $20. So the plane he bought, he got such a good buy on it. Time he does another 300 hours to move up to another level with his flying, then he can sell that plane and make a profit and get a bigger plane, because what right has now only has 1 passenger. So again, you know, because we own our life, we were able to do that. Josh, after 1 year of junior college, I talked him into quitting because there wasn't a course that he would take that would help him become a professional photographer. So he's 21 now. He's making $12,000 a month. He just took a course from the top cinema photographer in the world. It was a $900 course. There was 100 people took the course. At the end of it, they had a 4.5 minute, each person had to do a film and edit it and so forth. Well, Josh won the contest. Now, why did he win it? Because we owned our life. Because when he was growing up with his photography, we could afford to get him his own drone, his own GoPro camera to go with the drone. He has so much experience already doing filming, like when people are flying kites and stuff, he could fly the drone behind him and take pictures. And I mean, he won the contest hands down. So what happened? He winning the contest, got an $8,000 camera. And the guy that put on the course has invited him to go to South Africa with him to do a film shoot. And now wants Josh to be his assistant. And again, all going back to owning our life. So they've got their own lives right now and they're doing, see, you don't have to necessarily just be in network marketing to own your life. If you're doing what you love to do and you're making plenty of money, but you still have time and health, then you own your life. There are a lot of people out there have a lot of money, but they don't have any time. They don't own their life. So that's where the family is.
Is the Failla estate still open for visitors?
No, you know, our resort that we have, because
Yeah,
of
that resort.
COVID, we had 10,000 people stay there. It was mostly weekend visits and so forth over a 10-year period. Never spent a dime advertising, because when you see and look at the photography in the app, the website there, it is so beautiful. And, you know, people would have a wedding up there and they'd have maybe 200 guests and they'd never seen it before. And they're so blown away, they tell their friends. So we never spent a dime advertising. Well, when COVID hit, everybody canceled. And, you know, for over a year and a half now, you know, Greg sold his home and moved into the villa with his family. So now we're converting it into day use. We put up a gym and it has a deck on it that'll handle like 6 families comfortably. We can handle 8 families comfortably on day use. See, in California, if you go to the beach down where the hotels are and have a picnic or something like that, the hotels charge you $250 an hour. So we're all through doing the renting out and so forth, and that's kind of a lot of work anyway. So we're just going to day visitors, and it's already starting. And once that starts up, it's going to go pretty good. But if anybody wants to come spend the day at Failla Villa, you know, Ramona Oaks, which is where Greg teaches tennis, that's a kind of a timeshare place, and they rent out rooms there. And then we have a country club that has a hotel, and they rent out rooms. And these are only like 5 minutes from Failla Villa, so they can come up and enjoy the Failla Villa and stay at one of those places.
Great, great.
I have a question for you, Don. Let us know why people that are sales types are talking so much.
Say the first part again. Why they're, what kind of type? Oh, sales type.
Why sales types are talking too much?
I see, that's another problem with salespeople. They just talk way too much. And you ever try to explain something to a salesperson? Man, you can't even complete a thought pattern. You know, they keep interrupting you and whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really tough. Is, you know, they got to learn to quit talking, you know, and learn network marketing. Learn, see, if you let the tools do the talking, then the people see that anybody can do what you're doing.
So the first rule in MLM is just listen, yes?
I would say so. See, right now with what we're developing with the app and so forth, it's going to revolutionize the industry because it's so simple. I mean, when you can imagine your total talking time is less than 10 minutes, you know, spread out over, you know, a period of maybe a couple of days or whatever. Whatever. It just doesn't take that much time, and it's so simple. Anybody can do it. And, you know, they don't have to quit their job, you know, just keep the job. We want them to do that. So it's going to change the industry in a big way. You've seen these companies, you know, they're being sold out to other companies. Well, what that's all about is that the companies that are buying them are companies that are making their own products, and they're going down too. So they're buying up the other companies that are going down to get their database to keep their factories busy. Amway just a few months ago laid off 900 people in their factory. I mean, you know, they're so huge, you know, and they started off by actually recruiting 500 people. And out of the 500, 5 of them made the company. But they got to be a $7 billion company by doing the business wrong, by recruiting people to sell. But even though they were doing it that way, the reason they got so big is they were the first company to go into all the countries. People didn't have a choice. There wasn't any other way. But now, you know, now it's at the point because so many people have dropped out of Amway. People just think it's not a good business. You know, it's a bad business. It's a pyramid. They come up with all kinds of things. And I just tell them that, hey, we don't sell, you know, and they got to change. If they don't change, they're not going to stick around.
I'm sorry if I missed it, Don, but when is the release date of the app exactly? In 1 month or something?
Well, we don't have an exact date. we expect to have the English done in a month, okay?
Okay. Okay,
By the
great.
end, hopefully by the end of this month, the English will be, the base will be done. Then after that, it'll take like 2 to 3 months to do the different languages. Adriana has done so much translating for that'll go into the new app that we should be able to get that done pretty quick.
I hope Dutch will.
Well, that's not close. That's not close to the top of the list right now. But yeah, I would say Polish, German, and Italian are the 3 that are at the top of the list right now. But we're going to get to all the major languages. So if this was Polish, I tell everybody to go to bed.
But you are almost in America. You are starting the day.
No, I'm ready for, almost ready for lunch.
Yeah, better say, I'm hungry. I have to go to the lunch. I'm sorry, guys.
So remember now, you know, invite your people to get on these Zoom calls. There's no limit. I did a Zoom training 6 months ago with 2 of Tony Robbins' translators in Moscow. We had 2,000 people on the Zoom training. So there's no limit. So as your business grows, if you know you want them to learn the right way to do it, you don't have to teach it to them. Just get them to come on the Zoom training.
Yeah, I wanted just mention this because next week we have here Easter holidays, and we would like to spend these holidays with our families. So we will not do this training next week on Thursday. Maybe we can manage this another day, for example, Tuesday, Don. How about that? But next Tuesday, next Thursday, there will be no Zoom. For next week after Easter holidays, we will have as regular it was on Thursdays, yes?
Why don't we just let the people that want something next week, they can write to you and get the recording of today's training.
Yeah, sure, of course. We will send them everything.
Yeah, I think we do that instead of Tuesday, doing a live training Tuesday.
And that means you know, only this next week we can schedule it on Tuesday, let's say. And after Easter holidays, we will have that meetings as usually on Thursdays.
That's fine. I'll do it. That'll be fine.
Okay,
yeah,
so on to let you know.
You got that, Gordon?
Yes, I got that. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, T.
Okay, Don. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for what you do for the industry.
So anyway, you guys have it. Good.
Thank you so much and have a good lunch.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for today. And if you don't have any questions right now, you can also contact with Don directly if any question will be necessary to answer. And have a nice evening, day, the rest of the day, and see you next week's, next Tuesday and the next Thursdays after Easter. Thank you very much, Don. Bye. Kisses to all of you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.